Kitty, you called it!
I called a thing, guys! Look at me! This is incredible. Everybody, please take note. I require you to make a comment of it, to record, to make, to celebrate, please. Kitty called it in the chat.
Future Dorkus, who is now present Dorkus, listening back to this as it premieres, comment. How cool was the Khandra of it this week, though?
The Khandra of it?
The Khandra chapter.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I'm like, whoa. Because I'm like, wait, where is it? It's actually, it's a bit scary. I found it horrific. Very cool to know stuff, but yeah.
I found it a little less horror and a little more alien.
Yeah. There you go, yeah.
But there was definitely something very disconcerting about a Khandra in a Khandra body rather than in human form.
And the way a Khandra dies, and just, hey, what was cool, what was great for me was also like Tensoon is freaking super Khandra. That's cool.
Yeah. But
he's not just any normal Khandra, he's pretty good.
Yeah. But like how who told? Who blabbed? It better not have been Tensoon.
What do you mean blabbed?
About the secret getting out.
No, I think it was him. It was like his honor, whatever. He came to it. He came to them and he told them. I think that's what he did. Because he said, I've got to go and submit to my people.
Yeah, but when they left, I got the sense that it was like, we should keep this hush-hush. Not in so many words. He asked, please don't tell anyone. And technically, I don't think he told her. She figured it out. That's not on Tensoon.
Yeah. She figured it out. But she figured it out with his hints or whatever. It's not on him, but they're a weird honor-bound society. So I think it really is. It's possible he told because he just had to. That's just how it was.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll be fine. We actually learned
so much about the whole society here.
Yeah. It's really cool. There's some other stuff I want to talk about, but we can do it in the chapter. Shall we get started?
Yes.
Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, that darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are both going into the story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world. Each segment will cover what happens in each new chapter while discussing our experience along the way.
This is The Hero of Ages. It's all in the pages. A blind read-through. And today we are covering chapters 2 and 3.
Chapters 2 and 3.
Holding the power did strange things to my mind. In mere moments, I became familiar with the power itself, its history, and the ways it might be used. Yet this knowledge was different from experience or the ability to use that power. For instance, I knew how to move a planet in the sky, but I didn't know where to place it so that it wouldn't be too close or too far from the sun. Interesting.
Yeah, creation is difficult when you're, I suppose, mortal. Even though you're given power beyond your wildest imagination, you're like, oh crap, how do I do this stuff?
Yeah, and I want to, talking about moving planets, Cosmere, it magnifies out the degree that is this power. Like, it's not just some localized this planet power, it's a universal power.
Yeah. How does it... Okay, yeah. So that just makes me go, how on earth does it relate to all the other powers? Is it the other powers? Yeah.
Right. And he knew its history. I wonder if he retained that knowledge after using it. We know that Vin could use the power, but would have to... Like, it would run out. Like, she had a limited amount of time in which to use the power. So we don't know if she'd have lost it after.
Yeah. So he just knows that he knew stuff. And he can't really, but that's like remembering a dream, I would say.
That's
like, yeah, I knew everything.
Yeah, that's what I would have imagined as well. And there is yet to be any mention of Ruin, so I don't think this is Ruin's power. I think it's the thing that was keeping Ruin locked up, maybe?
Yeah, that's my theory.
Yeah, it's not like they are leeching off of Ruin with the Well of Ascension power, water. It's more like, I don't know, but there's something different there.
Where did he get this idea of Sliver of Infinity?
That's what I want to know too.
I wonder if we'll be getting that idea forming.
If we don't get the answer to that by the end of this book, I will probably ding the series just a little bit. Not like, oh, it's book breaking, but it would be like, oh, that's a loose thread. But I do think it'll be answered in this book.
Yeah. Okay. That's a door closing. You don't have that on your audio, so it's fine.
No, but, to spite you, I'm going to keep it in now. As always, Tensoon's day began in darkness. And then there I was like, Tensoon, yay! Kandra POV!
Yay! Thank goodness.
We don't need to keep secrets from ourselves in this. Now we can know what it's like to be a Kandra.
Yeah. Now I was really, like, when you first introduced what we were doing, I was focused on chapter 3. But yeah, chapter 2 itself, awesome. Just awesome to actually finally get this, and also so early in the book. He's thrown us some bones, I suppose. Haha. Get it? Yeah.
Excellent.
Sorry.
As always, Tensoon's day began in darkness. Part of that was due to the fact that he didn't have any eyes. He could have created a set. He was of the 3rd generation, which was old, even for a Kandra. 3rd generation. Very cool character and culture building right there, yeah?
Yeah. So the 3rd generation from the creation of Kandra, and
I imagine.
Yeah.
And it does make you wonder if the Lord Ruler really did create them with the power. It does sound like it would fall within that purview.
I mean, yeah, you can move planets and the things, so... Oh yeah, and also, sorry, just coming back to that, just that idea about him not knowing where to put things. Is that why we have ash falling from the sky and things like that? Because he's messed stuff up. He's put volcanoes in the wrong place, and the sun is red because of the placement. It was an oopsie poopsie.
That's kind of what I'm wondering. I think that might be... I would even go so far as to say I think that might be what we're supposed to think currently.
Yeah. We just didn't talk about it, so I was like, oh, duh.
Yeah. But here's the thing. The Kandra are of preservation, and you are of ruin, after all. We know this beast is called Ruin. We are presuming that there is a preservation beast. So we don't know if Rashek gained knowledge of Ruin and preservation, let alone if he kept that knowledge after having used that power, if he did indeed get it. But it makes me wonder, again, what do the Kandra know? So I think it is still open to the possibility that Rashek didn't make them and that he lied to them, but it could also be true.
Yeah, it's open for... It's not really a confirmed fact. We just have... It's what they believe. It's what the Kandra believe. We don't know if it's true.
Yeah. He had digested enough corpses that he had learned how to create sensory organs intuitively without a model to copy. Also, 3rd generation sounds very computer-like, and it makes me wonder, how younger generations have improved upon the original.
Have they improved or have they regressed? Because it seems like him being 3rd generation means he's had... Because experience... It seems like wear and tear is not a thing. Yeah, experience makes it better. So the older he is, the better he is.
Well, certainly the more life experience he has.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so the more he's digested so many bodies, he doesn't actually need bones. That's freaking cool.
Yeah. Unfortunately, eyes would have done him little good. He had no skull, and he had found that most organs didn't function well without a full body and skeleton to support them. It's kind of funny.
Funny for you, for me, I was like, yeah, it's gross. I don't like thinking about organs, guys.
I think there's a Digimon called Numamon that I think of, or I think of the gelatinous cubes from D&D.
Ew, no. I don't think Tensoon's that ugly. He's just, even though he's a pile of muscles, I suppose.
Perhaps not.
But yeah, if he gave himself eyes, he'd definitely look that way.
Except maybe not green. More translucent.
Yeah, that's actually pretty gross. Tensoon, sorry, you're gross.
I imagine it looks pretty darn cool. Snail without its shell.
Ugh. Slug, you mean?
Yes?
Slugs are beautiful, they're cool. Okay.
Would you love me if I was a slug? Stupid.
I'd let my husband leave without asking him that question.
This is gonna be a silly episode, guys. Buckle up.
Yeah, sorry.
His own mass would crush eyes if he moved the wrong way, and it would be difficult to turn them about to see. Not that there would be anything to look at. Tensoon moved his bulk slightly, shifting inside his prison chamber. His body was little more than a grouping of translucent muscles, like a mass of large snails or slugs, all connected, somewhat more malleable than the body of a mollusk. Hey, snails or slugs! With concentration, he could dissolve one of the muscles and either meld it with another one or make something new. Yet without a skeleton to use, he was all but impotent. He shifted in his cell again. His skin had a sense of its own, a kind of taste. Right now it tasted the stench of his own excrement on the sides of the chamber, but he didn't dare turn off this sense. It was one of his only connections to the world around him. So okay, gross, but also sad.
Yeah, and also they excrete. Okay, so he has excrement. Interesting. I mean, yeah, you would expect that from biological processes or whatever, but we have it confirmed, okay? This is a magic world. We don't know whether things don't need to poop. So he poops, and yeah, he is a senseless blob, other than and taste, I suppose, and feel, but just think about it. He's blind and can't hear anything at this point. He's just a mind. And that is quite torturous, I'd say.
Yeah, isolation can be scary, like complete and total solitary confinement. Did you ever read Animorphs?
No, but I've seen them. I've seen what it's like, yeah. I've seen that the covers of the books, hilarious.
I'm thinking of when the Yeerks have to recharge in their pools like once every 3 days and they leave their hosts, and I guess their senses don't work too well when they are in there.
So it's a sensory deprivation pool.
Yeah. The cell was no more than a great covered stone pit, barely large enough to hold his mass. His captors dumped food in from the top, then periodically poured water to hydrate him and wash his excrement out through a small drainage hole at the bottom. Both this hole and those in the locked grate above were too small for him to slide through. A Chandra's body was supple, but a pile of muscles could be squeezed only so small. Most people would have gone mad from the stress of being so confined for. He didn't know how long it had been. Months? But Tensoon had the blessing of presence. His mind would not give in easily.
Hello? Blessing of presence? What is that?
Right? Going a bit farther into it, I'm left with the impression that it's sentience, consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And then going back to your question, it's been... We took last week off, and I read it after we recorded our last session, so it's been 2 weeks, so I don't remember the specifics of the chapter, but my recollection is that the younger generations don't have it, the blessing of presence. That's reserved for the older ones. Am I right?
Isn't that maybe that? Yeah, that could be a blessing that is like it's just bestowed on them, but maybe they evolve it as they get older. Because if we're thinking about mist wraiths, they don't have consciousness really. They just go about. Maybe blessing of presence is when you do become sentient. But I did also think of presence as... So presence, I understand you mean presence of mind, essentially.
The now.
But I also thought...
And the
I
now,
also thought of... Oh, you thought of the now. I thought of presence of mind. But with presence as well, I thought of... Because I'm looking for the opposite of ruin, right? When I first read this. I'm looking for that thing. We don't know if they call it preservation or something like that. So I thought, presence could be a presence. The presence. So, yeah, I'm looking for all the capitalized things that could be the opposite of ruin.
Excellent. His mind would not give in easily. Sometimes he cursed the blessing for keeping him from the blissful relief of madness. Focus, he told himself. He had no brain, not as humans did, but he was able to think. He didn't understand this. He wasn't certain if any Kandra did. Perhaps those of the first generation knew more, but if so, they didn't enlighten everyone else. Kandra society.
Yeah, Kandra society is very closed off, man. We're not going to tell anybody. We keep secrets from other generations.
Yeah.
Good lord.
They can't keep you here forever, he told himself. The first contract says. First contract?
Okay. So they've got a religious text, essentially.
But he was beginning to doubt the first contract. Or rather, that the first generation paid any attention to it. Oh no. So he's being set up for an arc similar to Sazed's. Is Tensoon the hero of ages?
Why not?
I want Tensoon to be the hero of ages because I think that would be funny.
The hero of ages is a pile of muscle.
But he was beginning to doubt the first contract. Or rather, that the first generation paid any attention to it. But could he blame them? Tensoon was a contract breaker. By his own admission, he had gone against the will of his master, helping another instead. This betrayal had ended with his master's death.
Okay, so
that leaves out a lot of context, Tensoon.
Yeah, but I suspect this society gives zero care for context. It's very clear. It's black and white. It's a contract. And he's a contract breaker by his own admission. So this is the reason. This could have... whether he had told them about letting the secret slip, he should be punished. His punishment here is because he admitted it. So at least that is because he admitted he broke his contract. He knew he was going back to tell them that he broke his contract.
Yeah.
He did it, though. Do you know that... Do you agree that he admitted that? At least that part?
At the very least, I think it's gray. He did not tell her. She found it out. And he...
No, but I'm talking about the contract breaking. This, because he just said here, by his own admission, he had gone against the will of his master, helping another instead. This betrayal had ended with his master's death. So he's told them that.
Look, it was in spirit. The spirit of it was to help Vin, so sure. But when he shouted out, careful, master, she knows our secret. Yeah, okay, fine. He broke it in spirit, and clearly he has no sense of, dare I say, preservation by going and admitting it. Stupid.
Yeah, but it's honor.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. It's the way of his people.
Look, I'm coming from
I'm
coming from a place of I don't want Tensoon to die.
Yeah, me too. I'm coming from a place of I understand that Tensoon is not so keen on keeping himself alive. He's like, no, I've got to submit.
Yeah.
I'm getting the idea that so you spoke about him having this similar journey to Sazed, where we're getting this idea of the first generation as being quite tyrannical and just so old that they're kind of crazy. Maybe I want to know about this blessing of presence. Do all of the first generation have it, or something like that? Like, or are they certain mad ones? Like, I don't know. Actually, we've got some answers, but we always get more questions.
Yeah. Such a shameful act was the least of his crimes. The punishment for contract breaking was death, and if Tensoon's crimes had stopped there, the others would have killed him and been done with it. Unfortunately, there was much more at stake. Tensoon's testimony, given to the second generation in a closed conference, had revealed a much more dangerous, much more important lapse. Tensoon had betrayed... What?
Tensoon had betrayed his people's secret. Sorry, say it.
Tensoon had betrayed his people's secret. He didn't. She figured it out.
Okay, but the thing is, Dorkus, he told them.
He told them that she figured it out, or did he say, hey, I told her about our secret?
Yeah, I'm sure that he spoke about it as a lapse. Okay? So, yeah, she figured it out. But I don't feel like they're going to be like, yeah, it's okay. She figured it out. It's not our fault that they're so smart. He's the problem. I get such a sense of this society being quite strict, and he is so bound by it that he told them, and or they've got such crazy questioning techniques that he told them.
Yeah.
Either way, it's crap.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you do if you're first generation Khandra leader? If you're King Khandra, what do you do in this situation?
You kill Vin. You kill Vin. And you kill the guy who because it's per the contract, he betrayed the people, you have to kill him.
Yes. That's if nothing else
what would
at a minimum, you send a Khandra or two to keep tabs on her. And because assuming the Khandra don't kill, and we don't know if they can kill or not when they're not under contract.
Commanded.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I guess I want to know a bit more about the specifics of what steps they can and cannot take. But at the very least, you send a couple anonymous Khandra. Maybe you either send Tensoon under strict supervision or guidance, or you send someone
That's
pretending
a
to
liability.
be... Right. Well, again, hence the strict supervision. Mm-hmm. Or you send someone pretending to be Tensoon and be like, hey... So, you want to buy my contract? Because we can hang out now. And you keep tabs that way.
Yeah, I think because they can't kill. I want to know I suppose when you say I want to know what they can and can't do, that would mean what is in the first contract. And who is the first contract with? If the first contract was with the Lord Ruler, well, he's not there anymore. Now what do you do? It's the same sort of thing as the keepers being all dedicated to keeping knowledge in spite of the Lord Ruler. Now the Lord Ruler's gone. What do? So same sort of lack of direction that happens.
Yep. They can't execute me, he thought, using the idea to keep him focused. Not until they find out who I told. The secret.
Oh.
What?
They don't know who he told. Okay, so they don't know it's Vin. Wow. It's been a while. This is a blind, essentially.
The secret. The precious, precious secret. I've doomed us all. My entire people. We'll be slaves again. No, we're already slaves. We'll become something else. Automatons. Our minds controlled by others. Captured and used. Our bodies no longer our own. You can trust Vin.
Yeah, but this is what you're supposed to see, as the result of letting the secret slip. That's it. Doesn't matter who you told. This is the
this is
outcome.
What the others fear.
Mm-hmm.
This was what he had done, what he had potentially set in motion. The reason he deserved imprisonment and death. Yet he wished to live. He should despise himself, but for some reason he still felt he had done the right thing. Yeah. You basically taught Vin how to control the Kolos.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, Khandra prophecy, particularly in the next chapter where they're fighting with Kolos.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
What? What did the Khandra... have I forgotten a Khandra prophecy?
Yeah, they said that humans will destroy each other using the Kolos as their pawns. I think it's going to happen in this book.
Okay, yeah. Pretty much. I mean, what else would Kolos be used for?
Farming. Game development.
Plowing, at least plowing, but I don't know about the farming. The rest of it.
Advanced biochemistry. Astrology? I got nothing. Loopy episode. I was not expecting that going in.
Yeah, I don't even have caffeine in me, so this is all
natural.
You. Mm.
He shifted once more, masses of slick muscle sliding around one another. Mid-shift, however, he froze. Vibrations. Someone was coming. He pushed his muscles to the sides of the pit, forming a depression in the middle of his body. He needed to catch all of the food that he could. They fed him precious little, but no slop came pouring down through the grate. He waited, expectant, until the grate unlocked. Though he had no ears, he could feel the coarse vibrations as the grate was dragged back, then its rough iron dropped to the floor above. Slop. Delicious.
Yeah. Good old slop. It's so degrading, like we're busy listening to his thoughts and everything, and then you just have him, he's reduced to, like, he's got to make a funnel, essentially, to get his food, the most food. Oh, so horrible. Such a horrible imprisonment.
Poor Tensu. What? Hooks came next. They looped around his muscles, grabbing him and ripping his flesh as they pulled him out of the pit. It hurt. Not the hooks alone, but the sudden freedom as his body was spilled across the floor of the prison. He unwillingly tasted dirt and dried slop. His muscles quivering, the unfettered motion of being outside the cell felt strange. He strained, moving his bulk in ways he had nearly forgotten. Then it came. He could taste it in the air. Acid. Thick and pungent, presumably in a gold-lined bucket brought by the prison keepers. They were going to kill him after all. And it's done with acid, apparently.
Yeah, it's not just a, an injection and then you go to sleep. It's seems like it's quite
dissolved.
Horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, dissolved.
It does make me wonder how they managed to kill Orasur. I got the impression from the first book that how to kill a Khandra is also one of those secrets they don't tell. But maybe it's not. And where would Zane have gotten a pit of acid?
Yeah.
Tub of acid.
Why would you... Tub of acid, but yeah, why would you also... You could just imprison him.
Yeah.
Like this, I suppose. Maybe that's it. Maybe he's free somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, free. He's alive somewhere. He's not free, but alive.
Yeah.
But no, they said they killed him. They did say.
They did say.
So...
But it's also kind of weird that Khandra would be forbidden from killing people, but not other Khandra.
Each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say. So, yeah, okay, fine. He was commanded by his master to do it. So that he would be like, fine, I'll do it. He doesn't have to show Zane how.
Mm-hmm.
So at least maybe that secret that secret is still kept. But yeah, it's interesting that we can just go about killing each other, and that's fine if it's under contract. Okay.
Yeah. But they can't, he thought. The first contract, the law of our people, it... Something fell on him. Not acid, but something hard. He touched it eagerly, muscles moving against one another, tasting it, testing it, feeling it. It was round, with holes and several sharp edges. A skull. Okay, they're gonna let him speak. Good. Bare minimum you could do before you kill someone.
Yeah.
Any
last words? Yeah.
The acid stink grew sharper. Were they stirring it? Tensoon moved quickly, forming around the skull, filling it. He already had some dissolved around flesh stored inside an organ-like pouch. He brought this out, oozing it around the skull, quickly making skin. He left the eyes alone, working on lungs, forming a tongue, ignoring lips for the moment. He worked with a sense of desperation as the taste of acid grew strong, and then... It hit him. It seared the muscles on one side of his body, washing over his bulk, dissolving it. They're wasting no time. They do not want him to speak.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we did it. It's technic. They really like their technicalities, I suppose. It's just like, yeah, technically we gave him the right to speak. Boom, dead.
Yeah.
This is how they apply their laws. They're not in the spirit or anything. They're just like, yo, technically, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, these people are a scary bunch.
Yep. Apparently, the second generation had given up on getting his secrets from him. However, before killing him, they knew they had to give him an opportunity to speak. The first contract required it, hence the skull, but the guards obviously had orders to kill him before he could say anything in his defense. They followed the form of the law, yet at the same time they ignored its intent. Definitely being set up to be somewhat adversarial to the Khandra populace. Laws.
Yeah, immediately.
Leaders.
Yeah.
They didn't realize how quickly Tensoon could work. Few Khandra had spent as much time on contracts as he had. All of the second generation, and most of the third, had long ago retired from service. They led easy lives here in the homeland.
I guess that's a thing you could do. You can just, what's her name, live an easy life there. That's a thing you could do, but he's carried on. Why would he carry on? That's interesting. Ooh,
he's a workhorse.
More Tensoon character. Hey?
He's a workhorse.
He's a workhorse. He's a workaholic.
Yeah. An easy life taught one very little. Or there's that.
Mm-hmm. So he wants to learn more. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a curious bee.
Good belief statement right there.
Mm-hmm.
Most Khandra took hours to form a body. Some younger ones needed days. Tensoon had a rudimentary tongue in seconds. As the acid moved up his body, he forced out a trachea, inflated a lung, and croaked out a single word. Judgment! The pouring stopped. His body continued to burn. So, good on you for foiling their attempted murder. But or execution, but murder, because you really didn't give him much of a chance. Judgment, it's clear right away he wants to go to court over this.
Yeah.
Judgment! The pouring stopped. His body continued to burn. He worked through the pain, forming primitive hearing organs inside the skull cavity. A voice whispered nearby. Fool. Judgment! Tensoon said again. Accept death, the voice hissed quietly. Do not put yourself in a position to cause further harm to our people. The first generation has granted you this chance to die because of your years of extra service. Tensoon hesitated. A trial would be public. So far, only a select few knew the extent of his betrayal. He could die cursed as a contract breaker, but retaining some measure of respect for his prior career. So, that sheds some interesting light. Sort of an attempt at mercy, but that's a very... They didn't really give him the chance to make the choice.
Yeah, and it's not so much mercy for him. It's making sure that there's no...
rabble-rousing.
Disruption in their society. That's why they said don't put...
You're going to cause a lot of fear in people, knowing that the secret is out. You'll cause a panic.
So it's not about being nice to him at all. They said a little bit, but it's like, nah, we know what you're doing. It's a political move.
Yeah. Somewhere, likely in a pit in this very room, there were some who suffered endless captivity, a torture that would eventually break even the minds of those endowed with the blessing of presence. Did he want to become one of those? By revealing his actions in an open forum, he would earn himself an eternity of pain. Forcing a trial would be foolish, for there was no hope of vindication. I think there's hope. You could make some arguments. She figured it out. Though? Yeah. Clearly he doesn't want to say he told Vin specifically. His confessions had already damned him. If he spoke, it would not be to defend himself. It would be for other reasons entirely. Judgment. He repeated, this time barely whispering. What other reasons?
Ooh. So the other reasons, and he said judgment, maybe him speaking is casting judgment on his people in some sort of way. He's finding them wanting. He's finding them deficient. But and that's why he's going to speak.
Yeah.
So he's a bit of a rebel. Also, what made me think of the fact that he describes basically mad Kandra that are eternally imprisoned here. That made me think, what happens if there was some sort of prison break? Like he lands up releasing all of these imprisoned Kandra, right? But they're all insane, or most of them are insane.
Oh yeah, that would be tough.
That would be crazy. Yeah. So, but yeah, go 10 soon. Strength of character, one of my favorite characters. So
yeah, I like him.
He's not as cute as Dorkus right now, but he's got the soul of Dorkus in him.
I think he's exactly as cute as Dorkus right now.
Sure, at least I can draw him a lot better than I would be able to draw Dorkus.
Yeah. Chapter 3? In some ways, having such power was too overwhelming, I think. This was a power that would take millennia to understand. Remaking the world would have been easy had one been familiar with the power. Yet I realized the danger inherent in my ignorance. Like a child suddenly given awesome strength, I could have pushed too hard and left the world a broken toy I could never repair. So I think we get confirmation this is going to be Sazed because of the I think, yeah?
Yeah. The thing is, it is a terrorist thing, right? I think. Is a terrorist thing.
Is it? How
So it's
often
not just
did
yeah.
how often did Tinkwell say I think?
She didn't say it as much, but we saw it in the terrorist people that we encountered, the ones that were fleeing, when they were telling Elend about what happened. There was I think there as well, and I noticed it. So yeah, it does give us an idea that it is Sazed, because that's the place we hear I think a lot more than anything else. But just keep an eye on if we ever get go and reread the chapter.
Will do.
But also we'll keep an eye out for it if we get exposed to other terrorist people. Also, just another thing, like, is this because it's okay? Is it Sazed? Is it Rashek's diary?
I mean, I'm getting wise vibes from what's written here.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, like, is this the guy before?
2,000 years ago?
Because it's before, so 4,000 years ago. I don't know, like, because this caution, I could have pushed too hard and left the world a broken toy I could never repair. That's like, it actually did happen that way. That seems to be what happened.
Yes.
But is this person who's writing it here, did they do that?
I don't think so.
So I don't know if it's telling...
I don't know if
it's telling us about... You think it's Sazed, so you think it's in the future?
Basically, yeah. If it were Rashek, I feel like he wouldn't be quite as wise.
Same. It doesn't feel Rashek, man.
Yeah.
But we don't know much about him. We do not know enough.
True, and we don't know what having all the world's
feeling.
Knowledge does to a person, even if it's temporary.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we haven't known much. We just know the Dominion bits, and yeah, you don't know what I do for you. Yeah, we don't really know, but I do feel it doesn't feel like him in any case.
Yeah.
So we would need more convincing.
Yeah. Elend Venture, second emperor of the final empire, had not been a warrior. He'd been born a nobleman, which in the Lord Ruler's day had essentially made Elend a professional socialite. He'd spent his youth learning to play the frivolous games of the great houses, living the pampered lifestyle of the imperial elite. It wasn't odd for him to have ended up a politician. He'd always been interested in political theory, and while he'd been more a scholar than a true statesman, he'd known that someday he'd rule his house. Yet he hadn't made a very good king at first. He hadn't understood that there was more to leadership than good ideas and honest intentions. Far more. I think that's a good intro to Elend.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Concise.
concise and where he stands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more than just honest intentions. We were talking about whether he's how is he doing these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the summary we're happy with. Previously we were like, what's he up to? Has he become tyrannical?
Yeah. And I don't want him to be tyrannical.
I doubt you will ever be the type of leader who can lead a charge against the enemy, Ellen Venture.
The words had been spoken by Tindwell, the woman who'd trained him in practical politics. Rip Tindwell.
Mm-hmm.
Still smarts.
Mm-hmm.
Remembering those words made Ellen smile as his soldiers crashed into the Kolos camp. Oh, okay. That's quite a juxtaposition there.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I did, actually, Tindwell. Ha-ha!
Look at me now. Ellen flared pewter. A warm sensation, now familiar to him, burst to life in his chest and his muscles became taut with extra strength and energy. He'd swallowed the metal earlier so that he could draw upon its power for the battle. He was an Allomancer. That still awed him sometimes. As he predicted, the Kolos were surprised by the attack. They stood motionless for a few moments, shocked, though they must have seen Alan's newly recruited army as it charged. Kolos had trouble dealing with the unexpected. They found it hard to comprehend a group of weak, outnumbered humans attacking their camp, so it took them time to adjust. I think...
Good for us, then.
Good for us. I think we get a bit more Kolos characterization in this chapter that I really enjoy. This idea of them being confused. I think Vin at one point thinks the Kolos do have feelings. They just, don't do anything with them. Or they're weak. Which is neat. Ellen's army made good use of that time. Ellen struck first, flaring his pewter to give himself yet more power as he cut down the first Kolos. It was a smaller beast, like all of its kind. It was human-like in form, though it had oversized, drooping blue skin that seemed detached from the rest of its body. Its beady red eyes showed a bit of inhuman surprise as it died, Ellen yanking his sword from its chest.
Just after we've had this Kandra chapter, and just being now seeing Kolos, essentially seeing it in my mind's eye, are they like failed Kandra that got stuck in a certain phase or something?
I don't think so. But continue.
Because okay. Yeah, but like that's the relation I'm getting to, is that like they can't form flesh and things. They couldn't or something. It's they are related. I understand in the way that they're made. But it's just the fact that their skin stretches out or whatever, it's the opposite of a Kandra.
Interesting.
It's out of control.
No, I think the flabby skin is so that they can grow into it, more so than anything. We know... I also don't think they are failed Inquisitors, because we know that Sazed found, 10 weird small spikes, metal spikes in them at the end of the last book, so I think Kolos are intentionally made to be Kolos. Strike quickly! He yelled as more Kolos turned from their fire pits. Kill as many as you can before they frenzy! His soldiers...
Hold up. Sorry. Whoa. You mentioned the spikes, okay, that he found in Kolos. That you have put together as it's just the way Kolos are made.
That is what I think, yeah.
Considering what we have here now, in this chapter, what happens, it could be a way that the Inquisitors control them. I know that the Inquisitors have Allomancy, so they should be able to control them. But it seems to be something that could be connecting them.
Yes?
But then again, it still makes sense because they could have escaped from their Inquisitor or something, I don't know. So yeah, what I'm saying is I need to figure out whether those pins are just part of all Kolos or if it's like an extra thing that these extra evil Inquisitors have done.
Well, we do learn why it is that Ellen and Vin can't just Duralumine their asses in this fight, or at least not as easily and in totality as I had expected earlier. It's because someone else is already Duralumining them.
Yeah, exactly. So, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah. His soldiers, terrified but committed, charged in around him, overrunning the first few groups of Kolos. The camp was little more than a place where the Kolos had tromped down ash and the plants beneath, then dug fire pits. Elend could see his men growing more confident at their initial success, and he encouraged them by pulling on their emotions with allomancy, making them braver. He was more comfortable with this form of allomancy. He still hadn't gotten the hang of leaping about with metals the way Vin did. Emotions, however, those he understood.
So yeah, it's interesting to me that he talks about pulling and pushing on emotions, whereas I think that the older terminology was rioting and soothing. So he just talks about pushing and pulling. It's interesting.
Noteworthy. But also, Elend, you can be tone deaf sometimes. So, yeah. Fatrin, the city's burly leader, stuck near Elend as he led a group of soldiers. Elend kept an eye on the man. As the ruler of this city, his death would be a blow to morale. Together, they rushed a small number of surprised Kolos. The largest beast among them was 11 feet tall with its skin pulled tight around its oversized body. Kolos never stopped growing, but their skin always remained the same size. On the younger creatures, it hung loose and folded. On the big ones, it stretched and ripped. Elend burned steel, then threw a handful of coins into the air in front of him. He pushed on the coins with his weight, spraying them at the Kolos. The beasts were too tough to fall to coins with any reliability, but the bits of metal would injure and weaken them. As the coins flew, Elend charged the large Kolos. Yeah, see, they've got damage resistance.
Mm-hmm. It's just gonna slow them down a little. Like, it's something.
Yeah. Chip damage. The beast pulled a huge sword off its back, and it seemed elated at the prospect of a fight. The Kolos swung first, and it had an awesome reach. Elend had to jump backward, Pewter making him more nimble. Kolos' swords were massive, brutish things, so blunt they were almost clubs. The force of the blow shook the air. Elend wouldn't have had a chance to turn the blade aside, even with Pewter helping him. In addition, the sword, or more accurately the Kolos holding it, weighed so much that Elend wouldn't be able to use allomancy to push it out of the creature's hands. Pushing with steel was all about weight and force. If Elend pushed on something heavier than himself, he'd be thrown backward. Reasonable action.
Mm-hmm.
And it's recapping the basic rules for us thus far, I think, in a decent way.
Yeah. Yeah, in a decent way. And it's also to show Elend, this is what Elend has to think through. You have to keep this in mind as an element, so.
Mm-hmm.
All at once. Very, very crazy stuff.
Yeah. So Elend had to rely on the extra speed and dexterity of Pewter. He dashed to the right, watching for a backhand. The creature turned, silent, eyeing Elend, but didn't strike. It hadn't quite frenzied yet. Elend stared down his oversized enemy. How did I get here? He thought, not for the first time. I'm a scholar, not a warrior. Half of the time he thought he had no business leading men at all. And I did think he always claimed he was no warrior, but I saw Zed did that 3 times as many as Elend did here, so.
Well, yeah, just they're both very nerdy, but, you know, they have to answer the call to violence.
The other half of the time, he figured that he thought too much. He ducked forward, striking. The Kolos anticipated the move and tried to bring its weapon down on his head. But Elend reached out and pulled on the sword of another Kolos, throwing that creature off balance and allowing 2 of Elend's men to slay it, and also pulling Elend to the side. He barely evaded his opponent's weapon. Then, as he spun in the air, he flared Pewter and struck. He sheared completely through the beast's leg at the knee, toppling it to the ground. Vin always said that Elend's allomantic power was unusually strong. Elend didn't have enough experience with allomancy to judge that, but the force of his swing sent him stumbling. He managed to regain his footing, then took off the creature's head.
Woo! Strong Elend. Hey?
Yes. Unusually strong Elend.
Yeah, but it's because it's not diluted
Right.
by generations and whatever. It's pure. He's a first generation
Yes.
Allomancer. And I know we have ideas about Vin. This did make me think of that.
Yes. So this is a beat that gets played a lot in this chapter. So I had the theory that Vin didn't snap Vin's mom gave her the medal that Ellen had. I wondered if she got it from the Whisperers, and then I also wondered if the earring is that same medal.
Yeah. I do wonder. But yeah, that's it. I had the same idea beforehand as well. Because it was like, because of the lines that we got of what she said, you know, who's going to be the king or who's going to be the princess or whatever. So who's getting the gift, essentially. So it makes sense to me that that's what happened. The earring, I'm less confident about what the earring is.
Yeah, it might not be, but at the end of the day...
And also where she got it from. Where she would have got it from would definitely need to be properly revealed.
Yeah. Either way, even if the earring isn't that strange metal, I'm feeling confident the mom who heard whispers probably got that metal from the whisper mist creatures and then gave it to her. Several of the soldiers were staring at him. His white uniform was now sprayed with bright red Kolos blood. It wasn't the first time. Elend took a deep breath as he heard inhuman screams sounding through the camp. The frenzy was beginning. "Form up!" Elend shouted. "Make lines! Stay together! Prepare for the assault!" The soldiers responded slowly. They were far less disciplined than the troops Elend was accustomed to, but they did an admirable job of bunching up at his command. Elend glanced across the ground before them. They'd managed to take down several hundred Kolos, an amazing feat. The easy part was over. Good action.
Yeah, good action, and it's like, yeah, we had a good start, but they hadn't even frenzied, so good times, good way of understanding how Kolos work.
Yes, this is still the fun part of the battle. "Stay firm!" Elend yelled, running down in front of the soldier line. "But keep fighting! We need to kill as many of them as quickly as possible! Everything depends on this! Give them your fury, men!" He burned brass and pushed on their emotions, soothing away their fear. An Allomancer couldn't control minds, not human ones at least, but he could encourage some emotions while discouraging others. Vin said that Elend was able to affect far more people than should have been possible. That's the second time. Powerful Elend.
And he's got a speciality as well, seems like.
Yeah. It was another sign giving credence to the idea that Elend's abilities came from the same source and method as that which the original Allomancers had used to gain their own powers. Well, duh. You can't possibly think you snapped, can you? It was obviously the stupid Elend.
Yeah, he might have snapped by dying, you don't know.
Fair. No, he's acknowledging it's another sign that supposition is correct, so there you go.
He's not stupid.
Good Elend. Under the influence of the soothing, his soldiers stood up straight. Again, Elend felt a healthy respect for these simple Ska. Though he lent them bravery, the determination was their own. These were good people. With luck, he'd be able to save some of them. The Kolos attacked. As he'd hoped, a large group of the creatures broke away from the main camp and charged toward the town. Some of the soldiers cried out, but they were too busy defending themselves to follow. Elend threw himself into the fray whenever the line wobbled, shoring up the weak points. As he did so, he burned brass and tried to push on the emotions of a nearby Kolos. Nothing happened. The creatures were resistant to emotional allomancy, particularly when they were already being manipulated by someone else. But when he did break through, he could take complete control of them. That required time, luck, and a determination to fight tirelessly. So he did. He fought alongside the men, watching them die, killing Kolos as his line bent at the edges, forming a half-circle to keep his troops from being surrounded. The fighting was grim. As more and more Kolos frenzied and charged, the odds quickly turned against Elend's group. The Kolos still resisted his emotional manipulation, but they were getting closer. "We're doomed!" Fatrin shouted. Elend turned, a bit surprised to see the beefy lord beside him and still alive. The men continued to fight. Only about 15 minutes had passed since the start of the frenzy, but the line was already beginning to buckle. A speck appeared in the sky. Gee, I wonder who that could be. Army number 2? "You've led us to die!" Fatrin yelled. He was covered in Kolos blood, though a patch on his shoulder looked to be his own. Why? Fatrin demanded. Ellen simply pointed as the speck grew larger. What is it? Fatrin asked over the chaos of the battle. Ellen smiled. The first of those armies I promised you. Oh, I misspoke. Army number 1. Whoops.
Well, you considered Elend an army, so...
Yeah, true.
Also, Fatrin, hello, Fatrin, what was gonna happen? Well, I guess he did. He led us to die because we were gonna go and attack.
Yeah, but look how well you did. How long you held out.
Mm-hmm.
Did you really think the walls are gonna... Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that you were gonna fare better inside the walls? Or if you could run, you were gonna die anyway.
Yeah. Vin fell from the sky in a tempest of horseshoes, landing directly at the center of the Kolos army. I bet Sanderson had so much fun writing that.
I enjoyed it a lot. Horseshoes, yeah. Like, she didn't get custom things created or whatever. She was just like, these work. Why not?
Without hesitating, she used Allomancy to push a pair of horseshoes toward a turning Kolos. One took the creature in the forehead, throwing it backward, and the other shot over it, hitting another Kolos. Vin spun, flipping out another shoe, and shot it past a particularly large beast, taking down a smaller Kolos behind him. She flared iron. What?
No, I'm just thinking of just how gross this is, and just horseshoe mania. Ugh.
That's a horseshoe-sized wound right there. Shaped wound. She flared iron, pulling that horseshoe back, catching it around the larger Kolos's wrist. Her pull immediately yanked her toward the beast, but it also threw the creature off balance. Its massive iron sword dropped to the ground as Vin hit the creature in the chest. Then she pushed off the fallen sword, throwing herself upward in a backward flip as another Kolos swung at her. Aren't
you getting such a sense of just how freaking good Vin is at battle compared to what we've just read for Elend? For Elend, it was very cool. Don't worry, honey. It was really great. But Vin is just so good. And you can get that from the way it is written.
Yeah. She's experienced now. She's a veteran.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like the way we had to get Ellen's thinking of, oh, if I push myself against this, then I'm gonna be pushed back, and all of that thinking, right, has to happen, and we got that in his POV. But with her, it's just ba 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 ba. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Vin, you're so freaking cool, man.
She shot some 15 feet in the air. The sword missed, cutting off the head of the Kolos beneath her. The Kolos who had swung didn't seem to mind that it had killed a comrade. It only looked up at her, blood-red eyes hateful. Vin pulled on the fallen sword. It lurched up at her, but also pulled her down with its weight. She caught it as she fell. The sword was nearly as tall as she was, but flared pewter let her handle it with ease, and she sheared free the attacking Kolos's arm as she landed. She took its leg off at the knees, then left it to die as she spun toward other opponents. As always, the Kolos seemed fascinated, in an enraged, baffled way, with her. That's quite a description, an enraged, baffled way.
How dare she?
But yeah, she's chopping off limbs.
Ah, I just want this anime so bad.
Quite.
I just do.
And again, you've got the color.
Don't.
Go on.
Yeah, the color. Don't do a live action. This is for anime. Just please, Sanderson, please hear me.
Yeah.
But they're doing live action. Hey, they're doing movies.
Yeah. Wait, is that happening?
Yeah, in the works.
Huh. Wait, is there new info on that I missed, or is it just
nothing new? It's just it's just I get articles sometimes. The Mistborn movie is going to be so cool.
I'm sure.
Hold up. Mistborn movie, the Brandon Sanderson. Oh God. Jan 1. Sanderson reveals that Mistborn movie adaptation is back at step 0 after. Yes, good. Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Good. Make the anime.
They associated large size with danger and had difficulty understanding how a small woman like Vin, 19 years old, barely over 5 feet in height. What?
Mine says 20. Girl. Okay, listen. Mr. Anderson, this is not good. Okay? You've put on a whole extra year in my book.
I wonder which one is
But
the
I
correct
guess,
one.
well, mine is the later one, so it says 20 years old.
Therefore, she is 20. They associated large size with danger and had difficulty understanding how a small woman like Vin, 20 years old, barely over 5 feet in height and slight as a willow, could pose a threat. Yet they saw her kill, and this drew them to her. Vin was just fine with that. Cool line. She shouted as she attacked, if only to add some sounds to the too silent battlefield. Kolos tended to stop yelling as they entered their frenzy, growing focused solely on killing. She threw out a handful of coins, pushing them toward the group behind her, then jumped forward, pulling on a sword. A Kolos in front of her stumbled. She landed on its back, attacking a creature beside it. This one fell, and Vin rammed her sword down into the spine of the one below her. She pushed herself to the side, pulling on the sword of the dying Kolos. She caught this weapon, cut down a third beast, then threw the sword, pushing it like a giant arrow into the chest of a fourth monster. That same push threw her backward out of the way of an attack. She grabbed the sword from the body of the one she'd stabbed before, ripping the weapon free even as the creature died, and in one fluid stroke she slammed it down through the collarbone and chest of a fifth beast. So this is Batman Arkham City when you get into a combo move. And I have to wonder, are these Kolos even a threat to you, Vin?
Yeah, she just having like, look, they're a threat when she gets tired, I suppose. But I'm thinking of how much metal is in the body of these Kolos while she's pulling on it. Like, isn't it that, eventually once it's in the body, we can't...
I believe so,
we can't pull on it. I mean, it stands to reason then that Kolos are different. Metal in a Kolos body is different.
What? Wait. I thought she was pushing and pulling with the swords and stuff.
Yeah, but the swords are in the bodies. That's what is it because of the mass, I suppose?
What?
That because it's so much metal sticking into a person's body, it's not an earring or something, so that...
So you're saying the moment a sword pierces the skin, it's considered in the body and should therefore be rendered unpullable?
Yeah, if it's a stab at least, but I suppose if it's a slice, it's a different story. I don't know. I'm just saying that the idea is that metal in a body is not pullable. Or is metal exposed? Yeah, I mean, her earring has to, it's pierced through. So it doesn't have to go all the way through. I'm just thinking of the mechanics of this, how this actually works.
Then again, she is strong enough to be able to pull it out and then push and pull again from then on. A slice, I think, completes the arc, and it does go through the body at one point, but then ends out. Whereas a stab, you're right. We would probably be in there, but I'm presuming you're pulling it out after.
Yeah. But how do you pull it out after? Without pulling, as in capital P pulling.
You don't? You use your arm?
Yeah, because this one fell, Vin rammed her sword down. Okay, I suppose she would use her arm with pewter, I suppose.
Yeah.
No, but then pulling is with a capital P here, on the sword of the dying Kolos. This one fell, rammed her sword down into the back, you have into the spine, into the back of the one below her. So that's there. She pushed herself to the side, pulling on the sword of the dying Kolos, so she can still pull on it. She caught this weapon, but cut down a third beast, then threw the sword, pushing it like a giant arrow into the chest of a fourth monster. The same push threw her backward out of the way of an attack. She grabbed the sword from the back of the one she'd stabbed before. That's grabbing it, ripping the weapon free even as the creature died. And in one flirt. So yeah, it's happening all too fast for me to really make much head or tails of this, but I'm going to keep an eye out.
Please do. It's interesting. I've never thought about it that hard before. She landed. Kolos fell dead around her. Vin was not fury. She was not terror. She had grown beyond those things. She had watched Elend die, had held him in her arms as he did, and had known that she had let it happen, intentionally. Rough thing to live with.
But she thought she was doing the right thing.
Yep. Yet he still lived. Every breath was unexpected, perhaps undeserved. Once she'd been terrified that she would fail him, but she had somehow found peace in understanding that she couldn't keep him from risking his life, in understanding that she didn't want to keep him from risking his life. So, She no longer fought out of fear for the man she loved. Instead, she fought with an understanding. She was a knife. Ellen's knife. The final Empire's knife. She didn't fight to protect one man, but to protect the way of life he had created and the people he struggled so hard to defend. That peace gave her strength. That's all sweet and a good recap.
Yeah, it's a great recap, and it makes me think of her as a lot more fulfilled, a lot more...
Less dark Vin.
High definition, I don't know, defined. Yes, and more mature, more grown up.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I imagine seeing this, like, coming to the third movie or whatever, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing her in a little bit of a different light. Seeing her portrayed a lot more confident in a weird, subtle way. So that's what I'm getting from that recap. It's like, I'm feeling her age here.
Yeah. Kolos died around her, and scarlet blood, too bright to be human, stained the air. The 10,000 in this army were far too many for her to kill. However, she didn't need to slaughter every one of the Kolos. She merely had to make them afraid. Again, cool line, especially, with our historical knowledge of the Kolos and how they feel. Meaning that they don't, but apparently they almost kind of do.
Mm-hmm.
Because despite what she had once assumed, Kolos could feel fear. She saw it building in the creatures around her, hidden beneath frustration and rage. A Kolos attacked her, and she dodged to the left, moving with Pewter's enhanced speed. She slammed a sword into its back and spun, noticing a massive creature pushing its way through the army toward her.
All right. Perfect.
She thought. It was big, perhaps the biggest one she had ever seen. It had to be almost 13 feet tall. That is big. Heart failure should have killed it long ago, and its skin was ripped half free, hanging in wide flaps. Very big.
Beautiful.
It bellowed, the sound echoing across the oddly quiet battlefield. Vin smiled, then burned Duralumin. Immediately, the pewter already burning within her exploded to give her a massive, instantaneous burst of strength. Vin burned steel, then pushed outward in all directions, amplified by the Duralumin.
Hold up. What mine has is the instantaneous burst of strength, and then it goes, Duralumin, when used with another metal, amplified that second metal and made it burn out in a single burst, giving up all of its power at once. So we had that recap in my book.
Good to know. I'm fine without it, but it is still early in the book, so I don't... I won't ding it. Vin burned steel, then pushed outward in all directions. Amplified by the Duralumin, her steel push crashed like a wave into the swords of the creatures running at her. Weapons were ripped free, Kolos thrown backward, and massive bodies scattered like flakes of ash beneath the blood-red sun. Her Duralumin-augmented pewter kept her from being crushed by her own push. Nice. Her pewter and steel both disappeared, burned away in a single flash of power. She pulled one of her small vials of an alcohol solution with metal flakes and downed it in a single gulp, restoring her metals. Yeah, gotta reload pretty quickly after that. Then she burned pewter and leaped over fallen, disoriented Kolos toward the massive creature she had seen earlier. A smaller Kolos tried to stop her, but she caught its arm by the wrist, then twisted, breaking the joint. She took the creature's sword, ducking beneath another Kolos's attack, and spun, felling 3 different Kolos in one sweep by cutting at their knees. Again,
great sword user! Woo! Sorry, Monster Hunter.
Yes.
Vibes. Yeah.
You like the heavy weapons, yeah?
I mean, it's fun. It is fun. It's slow, but it's fun.
Indeed, I'm sure. As she completed her spin, she rammed her sword into the earth, point first. As expected, the large 13-foot-tall beast attacked a second later, swinging a sword that was so large that it made the air roar. Vin planted her sword right in time, for even with pewter, she never would have been able to parry this enormous creature's weapon. It slammed into her stabilized blade instead. The metal quivered beneath her hands, but she held against the blow. I can totally see that happening. The imagery
so
in the anime.
Cool. So cinematic. So cinematic.
Yeah. I read something. I was looking for book recommendations this week for reasons, and on one of the lists...
Reasons.
What?
Exciting reasons. Yeah.
Yes. And one of the lists of recommended things, there was a segment about Sanderson, and his Hollywood style of writing. And I think it's fair to characterize his writing style in that way. There is something very Hollywood about it, I think.
Yeah. No, he there is a consideration for how this looks.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the introductions we just got, right? From with these scenes, it's kind of like it's giving that kind of, this is what Vin is like when she's first seen. This is the description given to the actress, you know, of what she's feeling, what is her state of mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm getting it.
Fingers still stinging from the shock of such a powerful block, Vin let go of the sword and jumped. She didn't push. She didn't need to, but landed on the crossguard of her sword and leaped off it. The Kolos showed that same characteristic surprise as it saw her leap 13 feet into the air, leg drawn back, tasseled mist cloak flapping. She kicks the Kolos directly in the side of the skull. It cracked. Kolos were inhumanly tough, but her flared pewter was enough. The creature's beady eyes rolled back and it collapsed. Vin pushed slightly on the sword, keeping herself up long enough so that when she fell, she landed directly on the felled Kolos's chest. The Kolos around her froze. And with good reason.
She beat the boss, basically, so yeah, that's they're like, oh, okay. So first of all, she's little, and we don't understand that she's dangerous, but she's little and she just killed the big. So
Yep.
yeah.
Now they realize they are the mobs that have to be cleaned up. Even in the midst of the blood fury, they were shocked to see her drop such an enormous beast with only a kick. Perhaps their minds were too slow to process what they had seen, or perhaps in addition to fear, they really could feel a measure of wariness. Vin didn't know enough about them to tell. She did understand that in an ordinary Kolos army, what she'd done would have earned her the obedience of every creature that had watched her. Unfortunately, this army was being controlled by an external force.
Okay, so she would have gotten their obedience, like, I suppose, like, if that's how anyone would get control of Kolos otherwise, without Allomancy. You could do it without Allomancy.
Yeah,
if
you
were,
just have to be 13-foot tall Kolos.
If you were, so I'm saying, like, if, say, Sazed did that, he could be in control without having emotional Allomancy.
Yeah, until someone came along and beat Sazed.
Or emotionally Allomance them.
Yeah, but hey, now that you know you can emotionally Allomance them to protect yourself, Vin, you should maybe ask them questions like, hey, do you feel things other than rage and apathy?
Yeah, I wonder if she's done that. Come on, investigation Vin. Come on, she's been like that before.
Investigation?
What was it? Vinsight. Get some Vinsights.
Vinsight. Vin stood up straight and could see Ellen's small, desperate army in the distance. Under Ellen's guidance, they held. The fighting humans would have an effect on the Kolos similar to Vin's mysterious strength. The creatures wouldn't understand how such a small force could hold against them. They wouldn't see the attrition or the dire situation of Ellen's men. They would simply see a smaller, inferior army standing and fighting. Vin turned to resume combat. The Kolos approached her with more trepidation, but they still came. That was the oddity about Kolos. They never retreated. They felt fear. They just couldn't act on it, but it did weaken them. She could see it in the way they approached her, the way they looked, the way they were close to breaking. So she burned brass and pushed on the emotions of one of the smaller creatures. At first it resisted. She shoved harder, and finally something broke within the creature, and it became hers. So...
no Duralumin involved.
Yes. So I guess I was wrong.
Well, yeah, you don't need it, but obviously when you need the strength to break through, because like now she shoved, she knows she had to basically flare a bit. The Duralumin makes that a lot easier because it's so powerful. It pushes through the hold or whatever.
Right.
That they had without fear, but fear is makes it easier.
So now that we know that Brass can do this, does this make Brass overpowered?
No. You don't just get everybody in the army as well. It has limits.
No, but I mean more like in comparison to what the other metals can do.
Nah, I don't feel like it.
Okay.
Do you feel that way?
No.
Okay.
It
Well, why'd you
feel-
ask the question then?
I mean, I guess it feels a little like, okay, so brass can do two things, but iron can only do one thing?
It can't do two things. It's not doing two things. It's still doing emotional elemancy. The only thing that's changed is the thing that is being emotionally elemanced. The nature of the Kolos is what makes this power a weakness to them.
But it turns them into
not
automatons
brass itself.
and follow
Yeah,
her
because
orders.
of who they are, because of their race. It's a race weakness, not a brass power. It's a race weakness. So I don't feel like it does two things. It's just you use the elemancy to do that. And it's got to do with the other race. You can't do this to a human.
No, you cannot. But okay, fair.
When you're editing it, you'll understand it, I think.
I'm sure. At first it resisted. She shoved harder, and finally something broke within the creature, and it became hers. The one who had been controlling it was too far away and was focused on too many Kolos at once. This creature, its mind confused because of the frenzy, emotions in a turmoil because of its shock, fear, and frustration, came completely under Vin's mental control. Immediately, she ordered the creature to attack its companions. It was cut down a moment later, but not before it killed two other Kolos. As Vin fought, she snatched up another Kolos, then another. She struck randomly, fighting with her sword to keep the Kolos distracted as she plucked members from their group and turned them. Soon, the area around her was in chaos, and she had a small line of Kolos fighting for her. Every time one fell, she replaced it with two more. Gotta catch 'em all. Kolosmon?
It's really difficult. That's a lot of work, mental work, because it's like, yeah, one falls, and obviously as others fall, she gets two in place because of how their fear is increasing. They become easier to just pluck, essentially, is what I like that idea.
Mm-hmm. As she fought, she spared another glance for Ellen's group and was relieved to find a large number of Kolos fighting alongside the group of humans. Ellen moved among them, no longer fighting, focused on snatching Kolos after Kolos to his side. It had been a gamble for Ellen to come to this city on his own, one she wasn't sure she'd approved of. For the moment, she was simply glad she'd managed to catch up in time. Taking Ellen's cue, she stopped fighting and instead concentrated on commanding her small force of Kolos, snatching up new members one at a time. Soon, she had a group of almost 100 fighting for her. That's not a small amount. I mean...
Yeah. That's not a small amount, and it... Yeah?
They're fighting a lot more, to be clear, but 100's a lot.
Yeah, and the more they fight, the more she gets, the fewer are going to fall. Mm-hmm. And the easier it's going to be to pluck the other ones because they're going to start being scared. And I like the idea of, yeah, you're going to have to stop fighting because fighting and doing this is exhausting. It's not efficient. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah. At some point, when do you back off and let your force do the fighting so that you can concentrate on commanding?
Won't be long now,
she thought, and sure enough, she caught sight of a speck in the air shooting toward her through the falling ash. The speck resolved into a figure in dark robes, bounding over the army by pushing down on Kolos' swords. The tall figure was bald, its face tattooed in the ash-darkened light of midday. Vin could make out the two thick spikes that had been driven point first through its eyes. A steel inquisitor, one she didn't recognize. She deliberately lured him out, killing and controlling his Kolos, forcing him to reveal himself. Now she had to deal with him. Badass?
Mm-hmm. Very badass. And I'm just thinking, okay, before you know it's a inquisitor, I had just a moment of like, they gave Spook... They gave Spook the medal, and he's also like, I just had that one just a bit of a giggle because that I remember you were saying they should give. Did they give the rest of the crew that medal? Yeah. So I just thought of that, but obviously this made a lot more sense. Yeah.
They'll give it to everyone on the crew except Spook, and then call him immature, which is totally not fair. It's just that they don't treat him like, okay, no, it's fine, Poor Spook.
And yeah, I like that. I'm very happy that it's an Inquisitor Vin doesn't recognize, because we're obviously not going to get a Marsh confrontation anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
Not this soon.
Yeah, definitely not this early. The Inquisitor hit hard, cutting down one of Vin's stolen Kolos with a pair of obsidian axes. Cool. It focused its sightless gaze on Vin, and despite herself, she felt a stirring of panic. A succession of distinct memories flashed in her mind. A dark sky, rainy and shadowed, spires and towers, a pain in her side, a long night spent captive in the Lord Ruler's palace. Kelsier, the survivor of Hathsin, dying on the streets of Luthadel. Deep cut.
Yeah, trauma. Coming back. Hold it together.
And then we get the big reveal this chapter. Vin burned
Yeah.
Electrum.
Okay. Thanks for that. I know it was a great one. I'm like, okay, cool. They haven't been doing nothing.
Yep. It totally devalues Atium.
Great stuff.
Yeah, which is quite a thing. I presume that they figured out that Electrum is something that can be burned from exploring the Lord Ruler's safe house.
Yeah.
I imagine he has a stockpile of every or most every metal burnable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I figured they came to learn about Electrum, but we do not get that answer in this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Vin burned Electrum. This created a cloud of images around her, shadows of possible things she could do in the future. Electrum, the allomantic complement of gold. Elend had started calling it poor man's Atium. It wouldn't affect the battle much other than to make her immune to Atium, should the Inquisitor have any. So what do you think about that?
That's quite a thing to it. It wouldn't affect the battle. Yes, it would, if the Inquisitor does have Atium. So, yeah, still a pretty big advantage to have. Being immune to Atium is quite a big deal. But, they're so used to it now, I suppose.
Yeah. Vin gritted her teeth, dashing forward as the Kolos army overwhelmed her few remaining stolen creatures. She jumped, pushing slightly on a fallen sword and letting her momentum carry her toward the Inquisitor. The creature lifted its axes and swung, but at the last moment Vin pulled herself to the side. Her pull wrenched a sword from the hands of a surprised Kolos, and she caught this while spinning in the air, then pushed it at the Inquisitor. He pushed the massive wedge of a weapon aside with barely a glance. Kelsier had managed to defeat an Inquisitor, but only after a great deal of effort. He himself had died minutes later, struck dead by the Lord Ruler.
No more memories.
Vin told herself forcefully.
Focus on the moment.
Yes, good Vin on doing that, but also, again, nice recap. This is very much the recap chapter.
Mm-hmm. And it is really, like, I have proper fear in my body reading this because of just how big fighting an Inquisitor is. Okay, now we have to have it normal. It's happened all the time. This is what they do now. But we're not forgetting all of the difficulty what an Inquisitor meant before.
Yeah, well, they have leveled up, right? So the Kolos were the big bad of the last book, and now we had just a long section of, they are so easy for Vin and Elend to handle now. Now we do have to increase that difficulty again. And where do you go next but Inquisitor? Ash whipped past her as she spun in the air, still flying from her push against the sword. She landed, foot slipping in Kolos blood, then dashed at the Inquisitor. She whipped out a glass dagger. He would be able to push away a Kolos sword and flared her pewter. Speed, strength, and poise flooded her body. Unfortunately, the Inquisitor would have pewter as well, making them equal. Except for one thing, the Inquisitor had a weakness. Vin ducked an axe swipe, pulling on a Kolos sword to gain the speed to get out of the way. Then she pushed on the same weapon, throwing herself forward as she jabbed at the Inquisitor's neck. He fended her off with a swipe of the hand, blocking her dagger arm, but with her other hand, she grabbed his robe. Then she flared iron and pulled behind her, yanking on a dozen different Kolos swords at once. The sudden pull propelled her backward. Steel pushes and iron pulls were jolting, blunt things that had far more power than subtlety. With pewter flared, Vin hung on the robe, and the Inquisitor obviously stabilized himself by pulling on Kolos weapons in front of him. Neat.
These poor
hectic.
Kolos just getting yanked all over the freaking place trying to fight each other.
Sorry, friend. The robe gave, ripping down the side. leaving Vin holding a wide section of cloth. The Inquisitor's back lay exposed, and she should have been able to see a single spike, similar to those in the eyes, protruding from between the creature's shoulder blades. However, that spike was hidden by a hard leather shield that covered the Inquisitor's back, somewhat like a sleek turtle's shell, and ran underneath his arms and around his front like a form-fitting breastplate.
Evil in a half shell. Turtle power.
I was not expecting that.
I wasn't expecting it either. Really. But yeah, I'm upset. They have tarnished the turtles.
I read that and I thought, annoying.
Annoying, yes, it is. It's just like, of course they're gonna do that. It's just like, okay, fine. But so what's it made of? Like a form-fitting bread. What is it made of?
Hard leather.
Metal. Hidden a metal shield that covered the Inquisitor. So it's metal.
What? I have hard leather. However, the spike was hidden by a hard leather shield.
Mine says, however, this is probably a mistake because duh, if it was metal. However, that spike was hidden by a metal shield that covered the Inquisitor's back and ran underneath his arms and around his front like a form-fitting breastplate. It covered his back, something like a sleek turtle shell.
Wow, that is different than mine. And it should
be leather. That's
a
very big difference. Yeah, it should be leather. That would make more sense.
Mm-hmm. In theory, like, you don't have to worry about things piercing the shield. You have to worry about someone getting the shield off of you. So the substance doesn't matter as long as it's like glued to you tightly.
And if you can pull it off, as in pull off the metal, duh, it's not part of him, is it? That you can't pull on it.
Yeah. Unless
that's what it's trying to say, that you can't pull on it. She can't pull on it. Vin tried to pull on it. I don't remember. But yeah, that is quite a difference. It's worse than making Vin 1 year older.
Vin didn't have much time for thought, for the Kolos were still attacking. As she landed, tossing aside the ripped fabric, a large blue-skinned monster swung at her. Oh, yes, and we have been made aware that these differences and additions are because of Ruin. So, we're in on the joke now.
Yes. But, sorry, I've also got, Vin cursed that I've got more here. I'm sure that I'm thinking probably in your edition they would put this paragraph later. But Turtle shell, the Inquisitor turned smiling and Vin cursed. That dorsal spike driven directly between every Inquisitor's shoulder blades was their weakest point. Pulling it free would kill the creature. That obviously was the reason for the plate, something Vin suspected the Lord Ruler would have forbidden. He had wanted his servants to have weaknesses so that he could control them. So that whole bit there, I suppose, is just giving us some explanation of why wouldn't they have that anyway? Why did they not have that before?
Yeah, I vaguely...
It's pretty good to keep that in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've really moved stuff around. There's a whole paragraph that you read that I only got pages later.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Vin didn't have much time for thought, for the Kolos were still attacking. As she landed, tossing aside the ripped fabric, a large blue-skinned monster swung at her. Vin jumped, cresting the sword as it passed beneath her, then pushed against it to gain height. The Inquisitor followed, now on the attack. Ash spun in the air currents around Vin as she bounded across the battlefield trying to think. The only other way she knew to kill an Inquisitor was to behead it, an act more easily contemplated than completed, considering that the fiend would be toughened by pewter. She landed on a deserted hill on the outskirts of the battlefield. The Inquisitor thumped to the ashen earth behind her. Vin dodged an axe blade, trying to get in close enough to slash, but the Inquisitor swung with his other blade, and Vin took a gash in the arm as her dagger turned the weapon aside. Warm blood dribbled down her wrist, blood the color of the red sun. She growled, facing down her inhuman opponent. Inquisitor's smiles disturbed her. She threw herself forward to strike again. Something flashed in the air. Blue lines moving quickly, the allomantic indication of nearby bits of metal. Vin barely had time to twist out of her attack as a handful of coins surprised the Inquisitor from behind, cutting into his body in a dozen different places. Nice, Ellen's probably coming to the rescue to help.
Yeah, you do need to double team these at this point, especially with this new advancement.
Yeah. Also, total tangent. I think in the last chapisode we talked about the possibility that Marsh brought Sazed to the conventicle for the sole purpose of making sure that Sazed saw the metal sheet, and
Mm-hmm.
that Marsh was looking for something was perhaps a red herring to get Sawzed to look at the metal sheet. It occurred to me
Mm-hmm.
that probably isn't the case, because in that first chapter with Marsh, he thinks, I have to find something for Ruin. So that does suggest Ruin was in control from the beginning.
Mm.
Anyway, the creature screamed, spinning, throwing out droplets of blood as Elend hit the ground atop the hill. His brilliant white uniform was soiled with ashen blood, but his face was clean, his eyes bright. He carried a dueling cane in one hand, the other rested against the earth, steadying him from his steel jump. His physical allomancy still lacked polish. Yet he was Mistborn, like Vin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, Vin. But yeah, I know. I commented on it myself, but I was like, he's looking handsome right now. The way she's talking about him, but then she's like, meh, lacks polish. she's a heavy, like she's. I wonder what she's like as a trainer. Holy crap.
Come on, Ellen's new to this. And he didn't have Kelsier's training, so.
Yeah.
Yet he was Mistborn, like Vin, and now the Inquisitor was wounded. Kolos were crowding around the hill, clawing their way toward the top, but Vin and Ellen still had a few moments. She dashed forward, raising her knife, and Ellen attacked as well. The Inquisitor tried to watch both of them at once, its smile finally fading. It moved to jump away.
Oh, I'd be so satisfied. Sorry, I'd be so satisfied with it not smiling anymore, because they're disturbing smiles, but also I would be just stop smiling, you shit. Okay?
Yeah.
Stop smiling and die.
Wipe that smirk off your face.
Yeah. I'll wipe it off your face for you, and that's what they've done.
Yes. Ellen flipped a coin into the air. A single sparkling bit of copper spun through the flakes of ash. The Inquisitor saw this and smiled again, clearly anticipating Ellen's push. It assumed its weight would transfer through the coin, then hit Ellen's weight, since Ellen would be pushing as well. Two Allomancers of near similar weight, shoving against each other, they would both be thrown back, the Inquisitor to attack Vin, Ellen into a pile of Kolos. Except the Inquisitor didn't anticipate Ellen's allomantic strength. How could it? Ellen did stumble, but the Inquisitor was thrown away with a sudden, violent push. So again,
Love it.
It's highlighting this Ellen is extra strong. It does make you wonder if you're going to get like a Hulk situation where he ends up like accidentally crushing something he doesn't intend to crush.
Yeah, because he is just he's just that powerful. I do like that this is a measure. It gives us a really concrete idea of how different his ability is. It's as if he's heavier than he is. You know, like that whole thing. And we had that with Vin. So it also pushes us a lot more towards that theory of, okay, Vin also has this unusual strength because she also got the pill, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Alaman pill, I don't know. He's so powerful.
Vin thought, watching the surprised Inquisitor fall. Elend was no ordinary Allomancer. He might not have learned perfect control yet, but when he flared his metals and pushed, he could really push. Vin dashed forward to attack as the Inquisitor tried to reorient himself. He managed to catch her arm as her knife fell, his powerful grip sending a shock of pain up her already wounded limb. She cried out as he threw her aside. Vin hit the ground and rolled, throwing herself back up to her feet. The world spun, but she saw Ellen swing his dueling cane at the Inquisitor. The creature blocked the swing with an arm, shattering the wood, then ducked forward and rammed an elbow into Ellen's chest. The Emperor grunted. The Emperor grunted.
She likes thinking of him as the Emperor.
Oh my. Vin pushed against the Kolos, who were now barely a few feet away, shooting herself toward the Inquisitor once more. She dropped her knife, but he'd also lost his axes. She could see him glancing toward where the weapons had fallen, but she didn't give him a chance to go for them. She tackled him, trying to throw him back to the ground. Unfortunately, he was much larger and much stronger than she was. He tossed her down in front of him, knocking the breath from her. The Kolos were upon them, but Elend had grabbed one of the fallen axes and he struck for the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor moved with a sudden jolt of speed, and this is the line. The Inquisitor moved with a sudden jolt of speed. Its form became a blur, and Elend swung at empty air. He spun, shock showing on his face as the Inquisitor came up, wielding not an axe, but oddly a metal spike, like the ones in his own body, but sleeker and longer. The creature raised the spike, moving inhumanly fast, faster than any Allomancer should have managed. So...
They got something. They got something extra.
It seems quite clear, particularly based off of your called it, Kitty.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to transfer feruchemy into the Inquisitors, yeah? That's totally feruchemy speed?
Some chemi speed.
Yeah.
What did he call it when he put the guy at the bottom? What did he call it? He said it's messy business in the beginning. Oh, it was so gross. And he called it a hemalurgy or something.
Yes, hemalurgy.
Yeah. So it's got to do with that. Yeah, because they're modifying them. What did he call it?
Hemalurgy was a messy art.
Yeah,
that was why it was so much fun. Marsh picked up a mallet and began to pound.
So I thought hemalurgy is just creating them, but clearly there's something else that they're giving them by that. And also with this spike, what happens when that spike goes into Ellen? Does he become an Inquisitor of some sort? I mean, we had hello, we still don't know why Zane had a freaking spike in him.
Mm-hmm.
And was Zane a natural Allomancer, or was he like half an Inquisitor?
Well, working with this feruchemy idea from this one specific paragraph, what I had imagined before was it was one spike in the Inquisitor per power imbued.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I had imagined something to the effect of you need to kill a soother to from that first chapter. I'd imagined something like you need to pound through a soother to transfer the power from the soother into the Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm thinking it's that with feruchemy as well. But
yeah, because they've put a terraceman or a keeper into.
Yes, but to your point about Zane only having one known spike, but the full Mistborn power. If my theory is correct, that means that someone killed a Mistborn to transfer that power into Zane.
Mm. And this spark, that's what's making me think of just this metal spark, whatever the hell is going on here. It's related. So I wouldn't think that this just kills the Mistborn. You know, it seems like it's quite a specific thing to be using as a weapon. So it seems like they would be able to control him or make a more powerful Inquisitor using this hemalurgy stuff if they got him with a spark.
Right.
Ugh. That was no pewter run.
Vin thought.
That wasn't even Duralumin.
She scrambled to her feet, watching the Inquisitor. The creature's strange speed faded, but it was still in a position to hit Ellen directly in the back with the spike. Vin was too far away to help. But the Kolos weren't. They were cresting the hill, mere feet from Elend and his opponent. Desperate, Vin flared brass and grabbed the emotions of the Kolos closest to the Inquisitor. In the moment the Inquisitor moved to attack Elend, her Kolos spun, swinging its wedge-like sword and hitting the Inquisitor directly in the face.
Yes!
Excellent! It didn't separate the head from the body, it just crushed the head completely. Apparently that was sufficient, for the Inquisitor dropped without a sound, falling motionless. A shock
Double tap! Keep hitting that thing, man!
Yes, please. Do not let it heal, especially if it's an Inquisitor with a feruchemist's power to heal.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on in there. And yes, okay, a shock. The next line says a shock ran through the Kolos army, so something has happened. The control that he's had is gone, but that could be a loss of focus or something. You behead that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A shock ran through the Kolos army.
Elend! Now!
The Emperor turned away from the dying Inquisitor, and she could see the look of concentration on his face. Once Vin had seen the Lord Ruler affect an entire city square full of people with his emotional allomancy. He had been stronger than she was, and far stronger than Kelsier. She couldn't see Elend burn Duralumin, then brass, but she could feel it. Feel him pressing on her emotions as he sent out a general wave of power, soothing thousands of Kolos at once. They all stopped fighting, In the distance, Finn could make out the haggard remnants of Ellen's peasant army, standing in an exhausted circle of bodies. Ash continued to fall. These days, it rarely ceased. The Kolos lowered their weapons. Elend had won.
They also had one, not just Elend, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Finn. Very cool chapter.
Very
So
action-packed.
cool. Yes, such a great start to the book. You know, we're still in the start. We're still in the beginning. So it's really action-packed. I love it.
Yeah.
Like, if you had come across this, you'd be like, wow, like, only this book. So say it's on the shelf, you'd be like, wow, I really need to know what the rest of the previous story was, because it's so exciting or whatever. So, yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the book.
Yeah, and all the recaps were woven into the action really nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you, Kitty, for co-hosting this show with me.
A pleasure, and like the video, guys.
If you like. Okay,
thanks, bye.